Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. In this video we'll be creating a very simple RPM package using RPM dev tools. So this is lesson number 25, part of the RHC program, part of the RHC course, and as we said, in this video we'll be creating a very simple RPM package. Creating RPM package is a very simple and complex process, but in this video we'll be using a very simple approach. Okay, so the first thing we'll have to do is we'll have to install a piece of RPM that is called RPM DevTools. Okay, so the RPM DevTools is installed. Now let's create a user account. It can be any user account, but let's say we'll name it RPM manager. So let's assign a password to this user. Okay, so our password is a super secret one, which is change me. Usually it is not recommended. Actually it is never recommended, but for the testing purposes, for the learning purposes, we can do that. So now let's change to that user RPM manager. So let's say su-rpm manager. Okay, now we are at RPM manager's home directory. If we do an ls, there is nothing there. ls-a, there is some hidden files which is created by default. Now let's say RPM dev dash setup tree. Okay, we'll be running this command to create a tree for RPM packages. Okay, so there is RPM build, there is some more directories, so let's see what's in there. How about if we do ls-r? Okay, as you can see, inside those directories there is basically nothing. Okay, so now let's create a spec file, a specification file that is used for how you're going to create a software package. Okay, and once you create the software package, it's also put all the requirements that is needed for this software to be installed on a Linux machine, on a Red Hat or CentOS machine. Okay, so there are some contents in there that came from another file, so let's delete those and we'll be putting our stuff in there. Okay, whatever is pre-configured. Okay, so that's up to okay, so let's see if there is any errors. And as we said on the previous videos also, that don't worry about the colors when you VI a file or when you do an ls. Okay, color doesn't matter. What matters is what inside that file. Okay, so now we have, if we do ls star again, we do see the spec directory has a file called mytest.spec. Okay, so the next thing is we'll be creating a directory under sources. So let's say mkdir sources, let's say my test dash 1.0. that dash 1.0 actually came from the spec file, because that's where we put the version number is 1.0. okay, so inside that sources my test directory, let's create a file called script1 script1.sh. again, this name could be anything, but that has to be mentioned on the spec file. So in our spec file we have mentioned that we'll be having a file called script.1. basically that's what our program is. Basically that's what is going to go to the RPM package manager, the RPM package, and that script will be installed on our machine once everything is done, once we install that software package. Okay, so now let's copy it, paste it. Okay, so echo. Okay, so now let's save it. Okay, now if we do ls start again, okay, as you can see there is a directory under the sources directory, and the sources directory my test dash 1.0 should have a script.1 file. Okay, so the next thing is we have to create a tar file. Okay, so let's create the tar file, tar zzip file. Okay, let's go to the sources directory and let's run this command. Basically tar czvf, that creates a tar zz file that's going to go to inside the rpm package, and eventually that will be installed. Okay, so now let's go. We cannot install the software. Oh, sorry. Now let's create the package first. Okay, so this is the command we'll be running. Okay, it says I'm in the wrong location, that's why. Okay, rpm build. Let's see, let's run the command again. Let's see what happened. Okay, so the command went very quickly because it's not a very complex script, and as you can see on the bottom the exit is 0, which is good. Okay, this is what we want. So let's try to install this. We know this is located in where? ls star. Okay, now we see something under the rpms directory, so let's go there. rpms narc. Okay, and as you can see there is a rpm packet there. Okay, once we are done, then once we install this rpm, we should have a directory under opt call my test. Okay, so right now we don't see anything, so let's see if we can install it. rpm -ivh my test. Okay, as you can see we cannot do this because we are not root, so let's exit and let's do it as a root. So let's go to rpm package manager home directory, rpm manager, rpm build, rpms narc. Okay, and now we can see there is a rpm packet called my test. Okay, so rpm -ivh my test. Here you go, looks like it went through. Now if we go to opt my test, we'll see there is a file called script1.sh. okay, also if we do rpm-keyway grab my test, okay, you can see that. Also if we want to see what files and directories are associated with it, we can do ql, okay, and then the package name. Okay, so now let's run our script my test. Oh, sorry, script1.sh. see, we get some output. Basically this is what we put inside the script. This is what the script's supposed to do. Okay, so now let's say if we go somewhere else and try to run that script, it's not going to work. It's because it is not on our path. So let's set up the path equal to $path, okay, colon opt my test, and then export path. Now we can run this script from anywhere. Script1, see, we have a script1.sh. okay, and we can run this script. Okay, now let's say if we want to delete that package, we do rpm-e my test, and that should be gone. If we go to even opt directory, the my test directory is not there. So that's about it for creating a simple rpm package. Inshallah, I'll see you on the next video. Assalamu alaikum.